Hey, what's going on, guys? Steve Van Diest here. I'm here with my boy.
Hey, it's Cameron Barke. We're part of the ThoughtXchange. What's going on?
Yeah, the podcast where nothing is safe.
Nothing safe, and today Stevie's going off on the flat Earth. That's what we're talking about right now before the show started. He was going off on the flat Earth. Stevie, let's go, man.
I wasn't planning on talking about this, but
I wanted to bring in an expert if we touch this subject.
You can't. That's like an oxymoron, though. You can't find an expert on flat Earth.
Dude, there's experts, man.
There's experts. But anyways,
talk to us about flat Earth, though. Yo, we're here.
So so I look into some of the stuff that they talk about, and the stuff that's ridiculous is that everything that they explain is completely be rebutted.
The people on the live just dipped out.
They got mad, eh?
Yeah, they're like, fuck the flat Earth. We're not staying on this. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Russell's got no audio.
Audio's gone, it just cut out.
Just cut out completely?
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay. It's recording. I see it's recording. So I don't know if it's just cutting out on yours, whether you have the live feed over there or not. Maybe. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So anyways, I keep checking out the different rebuttals that are going on, and most of them are easily refutable.
Let's hear some, Stevie.
Well, they do that. What was that called? The Bedford experiment?
What's the Bedford experiment?
Is that what it's called?
I have no idea. That's the one where they're in England and they do the water. I didn't even want to touch this subject, man.
They test and they look in the water, and they basically they say that I can send the ship down and then I can actually
see the end of it.
See the ship as long as I kind of zoom in on them and I can see them.
So what's the math that they use though? Because I remember in that Bedford experiment, it was in England somewhere. And it was a straight river for a certain amount of time. And they're saying with the formula, with the curvature of the Earth.
I think the formulas that they're using is, one, I think the formula is wrong. Two, the fact that light bends with gravity. Oh, but gravity doesn't exist in flat Earth either. So how do you explain that to the flat Earthers? Because gravity doesn't exist.
They don't believe in gravity, no.
So because the light is bending, I'm just how do you even explain that? It's you literally can kind of see almost over a curve as the light bends over it anyways. So, but they would be like, oh, what is a mirage? They just don't comprehend how that even works.
That's weird. I don't even know where this started. But you know what? Back in the day, they actually did feel that the Earth was flat for a long time.
Yeah?
That was a long time ago. It was a well-believed thing that the Earth was flat.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's hard. I guess people's realities is people's realities, right? That's the thing. So if someone walks outdoors and everything around them seems flat, then I guess it's flat. That's just what their reality is. I haven't been up in space, so I'm just going based on what people tell me or people, teach me. But it makes sense.
Space does?
Well, what they say makes sense, but there's a lot of my whole reality's been shifted lately, so I don't know what to believe anymore.
Holy shit.
So
just don't go straight flat Earth on me, Stevie.
Don't go flat Earth.
That whole idea stresses me out sometimes.
Talk to me about your film, Fascinated Planet or Fantastic Planet.
What do you mean my film?
Talk to me about this film that you're raving about. You're raving about this film. You were so excited about it today. I couldn't get you couldn't get enough of it. You're just yo man, you gotta check out this film. Tell us about the film. What's the film about?
Okay, Stevie, we gotta dive back a little bit. Because we watched a movie called The Cell, and I'm going to hit you up with that one.
The Cell.
The Cell.
Okay.
2000 movie, Jenny from the Block.
Jenny from the Block.
And what's his face?
There was a couple.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn was in that one, and the same thing that guy who plays the villain in Daredevil.
He's in it?
And he's also in Law and Order, and he's always the
villain in Daredevil?
Yeah,
was that the rapist, weird-ass guy? Oh, if anyone hasn't watched the movie The Cell from 2000...
Yeah, your spoiler alert.
A massive spoiler coming up because we're going to talk about pretty much the whole thing, but that movie was freaking insane.
Yeah, we're going to rip it apart here.
Rip it apart? What do you mean rip it apart?
Well, in a sense that we're going to tell you everything.
Tell you everything about it.
Yeah.
So that's where that Fantastic Planet thing came from.
But how did you find it? I don't understand. Were you looking for it, or
Fantastic Planet?
How did you even find this movie from 1973?
Dude,
and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was actually excited, ready to watch it until they started speaking French, and I'm like, where's the English version of this?
Yeah, 1973. What's the guy's name? Leloup, the director, the person who made it. Last name René Leloup, Lalous.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say it's Leloup. But yeah, it's all French. Insane movie. But we're talking about the cell, though.
No, okay. Well, what do you want to know about the cell?
Well, the reason I started watching this movie called Fantastic Planet was because of the cell.
Okay.
And then
no, okay. So where's the correlation? How did you? Okay, so we watched the movie The Cell, and then you went into looking for this movie called Fantastic Planet, or
well, I knew that in the movie The Cell. There's a lot of it's highly acclaimed for its artwork. It's panoramic,
The Cell.
The Cell is
Yes.
It's for its artwork and it's for its shots. Because at the time it was like cutting edge type of shots. That
The
they were using.
cinematography was pretty dope.
And the cinematography for the time, or even now, is pretty sick. Like,
yeah, they were doing some pretty wild cinematography. A lot of the same stuff that Stanley Kubrick would do, where they were doing like a lot of symmetry on the shots.
yeah, there was a lot
So
of
a lot of-
symmetry,
a lot
but
of
there was
center-based
not a
shots.
lot of symmetry. It was like, what's going on with this shit? Like,
There was some weird stuff in there. Like they chopped a horse up,
that's
and the horse was still alive.
that's
like,
a
it was
famous
just
scene. It got vacuum sealed. Yeah.
It was like the horse just got vacuum sealed.
That was a nod to something else. The horse, that was like an art exhibit that they had. That was like a nod. A lot of people say that the movie The Cell is like extremely pretentious, because a lot of that is like artwork. And how
like they've taken artwork, like other people's artwork, and then wrote a movie around people's
like a little bit
craziness.
Do you remember when Vince Vaughn goes into the mind, and he wakes up in the sand, and there's those girls that are like
The
staring
three
at the sun,
girls, and they're
just like, yeah, that's like
coming after your spirit,
yeah,
your soul.
that's like a famous piece of artwork. That thing, like that thing where they're stunned, and then they go back and they're staring at the sun. And then I looked into it, and then that's what put me onto this Fantastic Planet movie.
So you started chasing down. the different artworks to find a different artwork of The Cell. This is the rabbit hole. This is how the rabbit hole started.
This is how the rabbit hole started into me on YouTube, and then I ended up on that Put Locker website, because like you have to like
and then you spent 2 hours watching the
the
Fantastic
most
Planet.
fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, and even like I watched this review of these guys talking about The Cell, and they were going off on like Fantastic Planet and stuff, and they're like, "Yo,
There's another movie that I
don't
saw
even
that's a
watch that.
time machine.
Which one's this
It's
one?"
also supposed to be considered like Fantastic Planet. Like I was looking like Time Machine. It's like similar to Fantastic Planet.
The name Time Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, like this is okay. So okay, we'll start off with The Cell.
We're bouncing around, yeah.
We're bouncing around. So we'll stick to The Cell. So the movie The Cell is pretty wild. So basically, the concept behind this movie is that Jennifer Lopez is trying to. A kid's in a coma and he's kind of stuck in his brain, and she's entering a machine, and she goes into his consciousness, and she tries to like pull him out of this.
This
coma.
comatose state that he's in.
And in this comatose state, he's kind of been trapped by the boogeyman. The kid was calling it the boogeyman, which is like a demonic. It was like a demonic essence, but because it was a small demonic essence, it was just
The boogeyman. It wasn't anything too scary.
It wasn't anything too scary. But then they cross-referenced that with the fact that there was a serial killer who also fell into the same
comatose
state from the same disease that the kid had, and he had one of his victims that was in this machine that
was The Cell.
That was The Cell. Oh,
That makes sense, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna say that The Cell.
So that was good. Yeah. So she was like in a
he
cell.
was a serial killer, and he would do
and
some
he
really
was
fucked
weird,
up shit.
like the weirdest shit I've ever. Like it was like fucking sensory overload to the max. I was just like,
some of
what
the imagery,
kind of the weird shit like this guy going through? Like he's killing people through drowning them, and then
essentially what this guy would do?
Himself.
Oh, it's fucked up. Essentially, what this guy would do is he would find female victims. He would knock them over the head. Oh, he
used the dog.
He used his dog. Yeah. Oh,
he used
man.
his dog to entrap them.
Yeah, he'd use his dog to trap them. So like women would go into parking lots at nighttime, and then he trained his dog to pretend that the car backed up into it. But what he really did was he put a cement block on the ground
behind the tire.
So when the woman backs up, she hits this thud, and then the dog's trained to go arr, arr, and then
lie there
and then play dead, and then the lady comes out of the car, sees this quote unquote dead dog, and then he comes up from behind and the chloroform or whatever the hell and captures her, shoves these girls in this little like cell, this glass room in like this basement, just with cameras pointing at it, like an aquarium, and then he just puts them in there with some food, a toilet, a sink, and a bed, like a jail cell, and there's just a shower, and that's it.
And a drain.
And a drain, but the drain's not a drain. It shoots water up too. And then he literally would just have these girls in there for like 4 or 5 days or something, and turn the water on and just watch them yell and scream and cry and get scared and trying to escape. And that's kind of what he would get off on. So it was like,
yeah, so
really
he's got
wild-ass
cameras.
movie.
This is the weirdest thing. So he has cameras watching this girl. So this is the level of craziness that this guy's going through. He has levels watching this cell as the water levels are starting to go up. He's watching it from a remote area with his previous victim already been cut out and turned into a doll laying on him. Oh, it was just wild.
It's gross. I can't even think about it. That thing's stuck in my head.
It was too many.
That scene was too gross.
There was too many. But anyways, what ends up happening is that this guy's mind was completely...
It was the most fucked thing I've ever seen.
Completely gone. It was completely gone. And now he's gone into a comatose state. And because they have a girl that's trapped and it's on an automated system, they need to go into the guy's head to find out where the girl is.
Yeah, his next victim.
His next victim, so they can save her.
Yeah, just got put in the cell, but they've got a couple days in order to save her.
48 hours.
48 hours before she drowns. And he had it all set up where the shower would go off at a certain time and yada yada yada, and he'd come in and clean it up and do. He had like a whole system of how he was getting these girls, and it just escalated to where he was doing some really wild shit.
So when J-Lo goes inside his brain, the first thing she encounters is this little boy who's dealing with some weird stuff already. Like they killed a horse, like the little boy killed a horse with a machine, but but basically his subconscious saw himself as a little boy, but then all of a sudden the environment starts changing, getting weird, and the next thing she knows, she's in front of the
Demon King, like Satan himself.
Satan himself, who took over his mind, who's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, that was a crazy ass scene.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
And this was a movie I explicitly and exclusively wasn't allowed to watch by my parents.
I can see why. Like, it was pretty demonic. Like, it's a pretty demonic film. It's pretty weird and crazy. But we were talking about this too, because the thing is that this film very much resonates what's going on with people's brains today.
Dude, that movie scared me. I didn't sleep that night, and it's been like stuck with me.
Well, I can see that. You've been Google searching.
Yeah, because I was like, yo, this movie, it was sick. Like, the cinematography of it was like dope.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, where'd they get the ideas for this? Because the shit just doesn't pop up. Like, those ideas and that cinematography and that stuff all came from like different artwork and stuff, which I thought was really cool. But a lot of the reviews that I've read on that movie, or they didn't like that Vince Vaughn was in it. They made fun of that, which I thought he did a great job.
I think he did a good job too.
Yeah, so he did an awesome job. But people are like, it just didn't fit. And then they're like, Jennifer Lopez, or why is she in this movie? It makes no sense. Like, people were kind of mad at that thing.
I think they were both probably at their peak of their careers at that point too. That's why they probably got those films.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like she's pretty popular, so let's
2000, Jennifer Lopez was the tits, man. She was like, it was like Madonna, Jennifer Lopez, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. It was up there, like top. But yeah, that's what, that movie was like, that resonated with me because they made that movie so ridiculous that people didn't think it was real. But like, that movie was like really real.
That's what we're saying. Like, it's, if you're watching it, it's over the top. But if you toned it down maybe by even to a quarter of what it was showing you.
I'd say even less than a quarter because like,
like
that scene where he was like...
Yeah, it's exactly what's going on in people's brains right now. Like, they just got...
Just the battle versus good versus evil.
The battle versus evil, and like the constant bickering within your brain, and the way that they kind of just whisper and temptations and all that stuff into your ears. That's kind of how they get in. So it's a lot of people are dealing with a lot of that same stuff.
Yeah, so Jennifer Lopez goes into this guy's brain, and she sees like him as a kid, and his dad was like took a hot iron to him and burnt him.
It was just super weird and aggressive. Like, again, over the top aggressive. Like, I can't even imagine anyone being like that ridiculous.
Oh, it's because he was playing with dolls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't
want his son playing with dolls, so then he burnt him with a hot iron. But then that's why he would bleach his victims and make them look like dolls. That's why he did it.
Yeah. It was what. But anyways, now let's move on to what because that saw was a little much, but I'm curious about Fantastic Planet. Tell me a little bit about what the Fantastic Planet's about.
Fantastic Planet, 1973 film. from Rene Rouleau.
It won Cannes Awards.
It won a Cannes Film Festival Award. This movie's insane. Okay,
Cannes Film Festival.
I don't know.
That's wild.
It was a crazy movie. So this movie, we're moving on to another one, and it's about the Drags, DRAAG, and these are like these AAG, these big alien creatures, like these blue creatures, and then the Ohms, AOHMS, I think, the Ohms. And they're on a planet called Yagag. I don't know. All this stuff was alien and like.
It was a science fiction film.
It was a science fiction film.
Yeah.
And it was just crazy because it was things that never could happen on planet Earth that were happening on this other planet. Like picture another planet with a bunch of shit going on in it that could not happen here. And I was like, wow, who came up with this? But essentially the movie was these big blue aliens were using human beings as their pets and keeping them illiterate and not able to read, right? And they were making their pets do things like we make our pets do things. And it was just they would be playing with their pet, like you'd have like a little. The movie had a young girl playing with her pet Terry, Terr, Terr. And the young alien girl was playing with Tur, like a human girl would be playing with a dog or a bird or whatever, and just making.
But it was an alien playing with a human.
But it was an alien playing with a human, and like we do dumb shit for our dogs, like make them play fetch and do that. They would do that with the humans. They would make them play fetch. The human would bring it back, and I'd be like, "Why the frick are you throwing this thing? Like I'm giving it to you." Like that was the premise of the movie, but. The council, like the alien council, like the chancellors and the head people in government, didn't think that the human beings, the Ohms, should we exterminate them or should we keep them and let them around? Because there's tame Ohms and then there was wild Ohms. Jeez,
this is the exact same story from the Anunnaki.
I have no idea, Stevie.
It's like the exact same thing, like where there's a whole, that premise of what you said is the same. Basically, what is it called? What's the name of the guy? Enoch, I think is his name.
Enoch? Enoch?
I think, no, not Enoch. It was Enki. So apparently Enki did the same thing. He basically...
Tell me about Enki.
So it was supposed it's the same kind of concept where they had the council and they had interbred the species, the genes, with the high-prey mammals of Earth, and created these beings that were now interbred and like part Anunnaki and part Earthling. So they would go to the council. Well, what do we do with them, right? Because they're
half.
Enki basically went and bred his own species because he was turning them into a slave species.
Yeah.
And they said, well, they are Anunnaki because like they have our DNA, like they have our, so they're like us. But the problem was is that they still had their beastly or their aggressive side to them from the wild beast side of them.
Oh.
So Enki's supposed to basically like he got a limited amount of time to fix it.
Yeah.
Before they went in there and the council would come in and wipe them all out. And I'm just like, yo, man, this story sounds way too familiar. Like, that story sounds like exactly like the same story.
The Strange Planet one? Or, sorry, Fantastic Planet?
Fantastic Planet sounds exactly like that.
Yeah, no, that's why I was watching it, and I was like, yo, there's some truth to this thing.
There's something to that. And then the story of, like, the Anunnaki and Enki and all those. Like, I started looking at some of the stuff. I'm like, I think that the Anunnaki were the fallen angels. Because, like, if you look at some of the characteristics of the drawings of the Sumerians did of them, they had wings. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. That they're like these 8-foot, 9-foot creatures that have wings on them. So you're just like, whoa, I didn't even notice before. I didn't even notice that before that they had wings. So like it's just like I'm almost
in these hieroglyphs?
In the hieroglyphs.
I've never seen that.
You never seen it?
I'll look into it tonight.
Look into it tonight. Like if you look into the Anunnaki, those are the hieroglyphs that they have. It. I wish we could show these to the people.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah, put it on the TV.
So like, so it's like some of these hieroglyphs, like they had these wings, right? Like so, and then they would talk about all these root plants and trees and all that other stuff. So it's.
Is this written in a book somewhere? The story of Enki? Where are you getting this?
Yeah, well, yeah, you could look up the story of Inky. You'd be able to find it.
How do you spell
online
that?
for sure.
INKY? Because I've heard that before.
Inky?
Inky, yeah, I know this. I just can't remember when I read it or heard it.
So Inky, yeah, so Inky is like one of these Anunnaki type characters, right? But they're like these hieroglyphs that they have. I don't know if you can see that one or if that's the specific one you can see, but they have these wings. See, like here you go, boom. This is this exact same one. So like they're rocking wings, bro. So like I'm starting, like that's whole story with the
Oh yeah, I guess it does have wings.
yeah, with the Egyptians and all that other stuff. It's like right in alignment with Enoch's story of the fallen angels and all of the teachings that they did with like their teachings of like root cutting and astronomy and language and all that other stuff. They were basically teaching all that shit.
Who was?
The Anunnaki, which
To who?
to the human race that they created.
Yeah.
Which would have been the same thing from like, so the story of the Anunnaki is that they had intermixed their DNA with
That didn't happen in this Fantastic. There was no intermixing of stuff.
no, but I'm saying that's how they created the DNA with the humans, right?
Yeah.
The Anunnaki created the DNA with the humans. In the book of Enoch, what happened was it was the fallen angels that fell in love with the daughters of man,
daughters of man,
and
yeah.
they bred with them,
yeah.
which then in return turned Nephilim, which were the giants,
Yeah.
right? So like,
How did that physically work?
which one?
How does a 12-foot angel bang a 5'4" human?
Well, they were shapeshifters, were they not?
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
Like, because they had to come back down in a physical form at that point too, right?
Yeah, what was their physical form? Because the Nephilim were like 10 feet tall.
No, the Nephilim were
They were giants, were they not?
The Nephilim were not the ones that actually like. The Nephilims were the ones that were part human, part angel. They were the inbreds.
Not
They were
inbreds.
like the offspring.
Offspring, yeah. Inbred and offspring, two different things,
yeah.
man.
The offspring of the fact that the angels and the females bred, because they were just taking them on as their own.
Yeah, how does that work? That's a big freaking. Have you ever seen that picture of Shaq with his girlfriend?
No. But you got to remember, the angels are not massive. They're not massive beings. They're not giants.
Then how do these people end up that tall?
Because they have that weird mixture of genetics to get the mutation. So the giants and the stuff came in from the interbreeding of the two.
Yeah, I know, but like, let's say you have one tall male, one tall female, you're gonna get a tall kid.
Unless they're like two different species and you get a mutation, which is what they were getting.
Okay.
Which the mutations were the giants, which were the Nephilim, which were like, they were demigods. They weren't gods, but they weren't human.
Yeah, no, demigod,
So they were
half
demigods,
god.
they're half
Demi,
gods.
half, yeah.
And because of the fact that they were not from there or here, their souls had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So they were basically trapped into this realm. Like, they could not leave. They could not go back into the Holy Land.
So why did Enoch get taken out of the Bible? Why is that book booted?
I got booted, eh? Yeah, I think, because the canon, I think they booted it out because I think it was too far-fetched for people to believe.
Dude, that's deep. What else has been booted out of the Bible?
There's a bunch of books that have been booted out of the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so what the heck's going on, Stevie?
Yeah, they've trimmed it down to basically help
Layman's
or to deal with the theology of because they remember they had that council. The Roman Catholics had a council, and they decided which books were going to go in the canon and which ones were not, and they chose 66 of them.
Yeah, and they
cut
a bunch. There's a bunch of different
books.
books.
If you look at all the Gnostic books, the Gnostics they didn't even know about the Gnostic books. They all got booted out. They're not in the books. But like, there's the Book of Thomas that had a lot of sayings. Like, if you read the Book of Thomas, I'm like, yo, man, I don't understand why the Book of Thomas is not in the Bible. This is pure, like, all of the stuff that's in there, they're parables, like Jesus parables, like straight up. And you read them, I'm like, yeah, he totally said this. Yeah, he totally said this. Totally said this too. Like, it's just one parable after another, but that's all it is. It's just a book of parables.
But they booted it from the Bible. What else has been trimmed out in the Bible then?
Book of Mary got booted out.
Yeah.
I think the Book of Mary got booted out because it has some contradictions in there.
Jeez.
Like where like, I think at that time too, they didn't think that the females were, I don't know again, but I don't think that because what happened is Mary was actually had a tendency to know more than what the disciples did. Based on the book,
Yeah.
she knew more than Peter. Like so there was.
Because she was in on it.
Well, the book that she wrote. Basically, what happened is that she.
Well, she was closer to Jesus than Peter was, obviously. She knew more. She would know more than Peter.
But that's what Peter was. That
Kind
there
of
was an
cheesed
argument.
off?
Because she would say this. Jesus said this, and he said, "Well, how come he said it to you and not to any of us?"
So
doesn't make any sense.
That's my wife, man.
Well, yeah, but that's what they were pissed off about, right? Like, and there's that argument in the book.
Yeah.
So, and then there's big gaps of it missing. Like there's like whole chunks of it missing from there. So you only get some bits and pieces of the story of the Book of Mary. Like there's huge chunks missing. So the Book of Adam and Eve is gone. Like there's Adam and Eve goes into a deep story. Like it wasn't just a one-time thing where Satan was tormenting the shit out of them. Like they were living in caves, so they got booted out. They get booted out of the garden, and they're living in caves, and then.
Like naked and cold and like no
Satan,
food.
And Satan continuously like tormenting them the whole time, like in this thing, and they're just we've been gone for 40 days, and they're just pleading, trying to get back into heaven, because they got kicked out from the mistake that they made, and they couldn't get back in. So there was like all these other books that got kicked out and stuff like that. It's just interesting.
Yeah, that's wild that all those guys got kicked out.
Yeah, some of those got kicked out, and then I'm reading some of these other ones like. Which one am I on right now? I'm on. I'm reading Exodus again.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult book to read, man, because it's like, it's got a lot of darkness to it too. Like there's
Exodus.
There's a lot of weird stuff that's going on there. Like I can look at the story from afar because I know the story of that's the story of Moses. But there's just some weird things that just happen that I just can't, I haven't fully figured out what the hell's going on here.
It's not weirder than Fantastic Planet, man.
No?
Dude, I was tripping balls this morning on Fantastic Planet.
You watched it this morning?
Yeah.
Do they have an English subtitle version of it?
The subtitles in English, yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
So you were watching in English?
I was watching...
I need that link because I was trying to watch it in French.
Yeah, see, you were getting mad at me talking like, what LSD trip are you on right now? I was like, bro, I'm on Fantastic Planet.
I watched the trailer and I was like, what is this? It was the weirdest trailer I've ever seen in my life.
I borderline want to watch it again. I'd actually be down to watch that shit again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down. We'll connect it to the TV and we'll throw it on.
Jeez.
But what ended up happening with that movie was the Oms were getting exterminated, decided to fight back, and then they shot a bunch of them into space. The Oms had a couple rockets because they were getting exterminated, so they're like, hey, we got to get out of here, and they shot into space.
Are the Oms like the humans?
Humans, yeah. And then they started to colonize another planet. One of the Oms escaped. The story is told by one of these Oms that escaped from being a pet. And they had these little collars, and they would call if the Om went away from the drag, the alien. This sounds so messed up. They'd hit this little button on their wrist, and then the guy would fly back. But he was educated. He was able to read the alien language.
Yeah.
Because he would sit with the girl and learn everything that the girl was learning when she was taking her school classes. So she would have her pet in there when she was in school.
Oh, so he was learning but pretending not to learn.
He was learned but pretending not to learn. But like animals do the same thing. Like they sit in with us when we do things. They take in the same shit.
Because we don't think that they're picking
We don't think they're picking anything up, right? But they could just be like sitting on, like I grew up with parrots, right? My parrot could be sitting on my shoulder and I could be watching a TV show or learning or something. It could be right there with me. And she was. My bird was with me all the time.
That was weird. I saw a video of you. I saw a video with this guy with his bird, and I'm just like, you were feeding your bird, and I'm like, you got a bird, and you guys are just hanging out together, and you would just like take the bird, and the bird would fly on your finger, and you'd put him on a perch, and you guys would just sit there, and you were in a bathtub with fully clothed. And
I was fully clothed in a bathtub.
Yeah, it
just
was
beatboxing. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, that was a weird
yeah.
video.
Oh, this is crazy. Shout out to Cloud9 actually. Cloud9's a producer, and he makes a lot of beats. And there's this weird sex scene that's in this Fantastic Planet movie. And he sampled that thing and made a beat for me. And this is even crazier. I wrote an entire concept album like 12 years ago called OGG Vorbis, OGG Vorbis, which I didn't know at the time, but it's like a codec. It's like .mp3, .this, .dat, .whatever. There's .ogg Vorbis. I don't know what the heck OGG Vorbis is. Like, you can bounce something out in OGG Vorbis. Have you heard of OGG Vorbis? Yeah, you can bounce something out in like Pro Tools or whatever. You can bounce out .ogg Vorbis. I don't even know what it is. But my title track off of that album is called OGG Vorbis, and it's about this planet that I created in my head. I'm probably making myself sound like a crazy person, but it was like this planet I created in my head, and I wrote an entire album about this like alien species and this stuff, and I had no idea that the song, the main title for that track that I made, that whole album, was from Fantastic Planet, was an alien place that was a bunch of made up shit. So I'm listening to this, and this weird sex scene's going on. It's like the whole thing starts playing. I'm like, I've heard this before. I was like, whoa, what the hell? This is the beat that Cloud9 made me. Like, so sick. I was so hyped. It was nuts. It's a crazy beat too. Whole album's nuts. It's like, yeah, I just created this weird alien planet thing.
We were talking about this the other day too, talking about science fiction, about Ron Hubbard.
What was he doing?
Remember how we were talking about how how did we get onto Ron Hubbard? We were talking about how selling books and how to avoid the taxing, and that's why he basically started his.
Because I figured out how freaking little kids in Africa get fed and where the money comes from.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
Because I was cooking breakfast,
Yeah,
and I turn over to
yeah.
the TV and I see it's like one of those Christian like feed the little kids in Africa.
But it was a business, man. Like
type
I
thing.
don't trust some of those things. I'm like, this is a straight out business, man.
Dude, I pieced it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they put
In the small print.
They put in the small print what was going on.
Retail value.
Yeah.
Retail value.
Okay, so this is what happened. I'm watching TV. I'm looking at the.
He's got it. He's got the TV set up on the church network.
Yeah, I got it on the Christian TV, which you do.
Which is Yes TV.
Which is
which
you.
I get caught watching it too.
Yeah. Well, I've never watched one of those like UNICEF commercials in my life. It's just one of those things that are always on
In the background.
In the background, you're just like, oh, there's another kid dying or whatever. Like when you're a kid, you're watching one of those. But as an adult, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit and watch one of these commercials and see what these things are really about. So I'm watching it, and how it went out was you can donate to this one company. I'm not gonna say their name. You can donate to this one company, $10, $50, or $100. And they say that $10 feeds 10 kids, $50 feeds 5.
No.
$10 feeds 10 kids.
So 50 would feel 50.
50 kids. $100
would feel 100 kids.
would feed 100 kids. That's what it was. It was pretty much $1 a kid,
Yeah.
right? I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And then you add $1,000. Next jump after that.
And then the next jump was $1,000, and that feeds 100 children,
Yeah.
right? And they were really pushing for the 1,000. But when you donate $30, you get like some weird little manuscript or something. When you donate $100, you get this or when you donate $50, they give you for free this book. When you donate 100, you get like this really sick Bible or something, like it's leather bound, and they're just showing off this Bible with this leather bullshit.
These
that
are
was with
gifts
it.
you're getting.
These are the gifts that you're getting.
Your gifts.
These gifts. And then the $1,000,
Yes.
you get this weird little gold statue of like a shepherd or something like that. But at the very end of the commercial, or the very end of the show, it said in small print on the very bottom, it said FMV and then equals each one of the items that are given away, quote unquote, for free. So the book was like $9, and the Bible was like $12.
So for free, so FMV means free market value.
Fair market value.
Fair market value.
Yeah.
So it's not cost, it's what they can sell it for.
Yeah, it's what you could sell the book for. It's not what they paid for it.
Yeah,
So there's wholesale and market value
so
of something.
let's say if the Bible was $25 or $30.
Fair market value, $30.
Which means there's $20 left in your $50 deposit. But so they would take their $30 to pay back for the book, right? Because that's the fair market value. So that's the cost of the book, because they're selling the book. They're not. They're not giving away for free.
They're not giving away at cost.
No. They're not giving it at cost, because.
So they bought let's say they bought the book for $10, but they can sell it for $30. They're taking that $20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're buying books for $10, selling to you as a gift for $30
Yeah.
for free when you give them $100.
Yeah.
So take $30 out of that equate that
50,
$100,
which leaves $20.
which leaves $20 left. Yeah.
$20 left.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
And then
Legally, they can take 30%. A
that's what you're saying. So
non-for-profit,
you can take 30%
Yeah.
of the profits.
they could take 30% of that.
So they take another 30% off that $20, which is
10% would be $2.
Because people who think that non-for-profit means that they don't make any money, it's not true. Non-for-profit means that money stays in the company, but so you can send it out via paychecks and staff costs and labor costs. So what happens is like most of those non-for-profit guys will make like a $200,000 salary in their non-for-profit organization.
Well, the damn guy on the thing had a
then
Rolex
they-
on. I'm not, Rolexes are dope. I'm not like, they're a sick
yeah,
watch.
but I'm just like, dude, man, like you're wearing a Rolex. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was
Like,
just kind of
at least
weird.
take
It was
the
an,
Rolex- at least take the Rolex
we
off.
the guy selling it to. So it was,
I'm like, at least put on your shepherd's outfit.
yeah, this freaking guy's wearing. He wasn't wearing anything like crazy, but the Rolex was on, and I'm not a crazy guy with watches knowing exact worth or value, but it was gold. I knew that, and it was it wasn't a Submariner. It wasn't a yacht. What is it? Yacht maker, whatever that one's called. It was just a Rolex that it looked very expensive to me.
Yeah.
Right, and I was
Well,
like, "Yo,
you know
this one's an
That's the
expensive Rolex."
same thing that I noticed too when I was watching that Wild Country, when I was watching for Osho.
Which one's Wild Country?
Wild Country. Remember the one that show I was watching with you, and you were like, "Yo, man, I can't watch this." About the cult.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't watch it because it's like in episodes. I want to start it from the beginning.
Yeah. So, anyways, the same thing was like Wild Country. Like you could see when the guy flipped, because at some point he was like, he was holy, and then all of a sudden he's just like, there was a flip that happened. Something switched in him, and then all of a sudden he's surrounded by all these Rolexes.
Oh,
and
this
all
is that
these
Osho guy.
Yeah, all these Rolls Royce. He had like 50 or 60 Rolls Royce, and he was covered in Rolexes. And then his shaman suit went from like this humbled suit to like this fine linen.
He's bald out.
Bald out.
Did he have a turban?
Yeah, but it was like a furry
It was like one of those
turban.
big ones. Yeah,
It's like, yo, man, this guy's balling
With like a
out
gem
now.
in the middle
Yeah,
and shit.
yeah. It just turned into like I was just like, yo, man, this guy sold out at some point here. Like he was just pulling in, and everyone else was just wearing their orange jumpsuits, and I'm just like,
Did they all commit suicide?
no.
Oh, okay. It wasn't like one of those cult things.
No.
Like some David Koresh shit.
That's some weird shit where they all drink the Kool-Aid.
They all drink the Kool-Aid.
You know what I'm wondering?
That's messed up. How do you get people to do that?
Well, I'm wondering about that. Like how, like it's the same thing as communion.
Yeah,
Everyone
but
drinks it. Like if someone just poisoned it,
no, they know they're killing themselves when they make them.
that's what we assume, because they drank it. But what if they were just doing communion and someone just mass murdered everybody?
No. There's videotape of it.
What?
There's videotape of people being in there. I've watched it and it was
Yeah.
fucked. I don't know if it was the David Koresh.
That they all were they having a discussion about?
Yeah,
how
they're
they
having a
died?
discussion about who's taking it, and then they're just like, "Fuck, I'll take the poison." And there's videotape of people just drinking this shit and knowing they're gonna die. It was the creepiest video I've seen. Yeah, it was in that David Koresh one in Waco, Texas went crazy. Like
That Waco,
the
Texas
place
one,
got
yeah.
lit on fire. Everyone got lit up. Like the FBI was there. It was like a standoff for a couple days. People got shot and killed.
Were they in there with weapons too?
Yeah.
Because like the same thing
It was a full-on firefight, and then they all burned alive.
The same
and
thing
shit.
was happening with this with the Osho stuff. Is that like they were taking over, and then because they were being attacked, kind of thing. They all started to militarize, and they started to teach them how to use.
Use guns, yeah. That's what
I was
David
like,
Koresh was
holy
doing. That,
smokes.
yeah. They make these little militaries,
But
and they
this is-
become super loyal
but
to the
this-
point where they'll kill themselves.
This
for
is
it.
what I'm saying. Like at some point, like those organizations get taken over, and they become like dark. and
Dude, I
become
think they.
super dark.
David Koresh is fucked from the start. Like that guy's dark from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no like he's trying to do it from a pure, holy, and nice, loving place. He's like crazy in the head. But how do you get so many people together in one spot that they're like cool enough with you to get them to kill themselves for?
Well,
it?
it's the whole.
That's
it's
that's
the whole
crazy
concept
salesmanship.
Around, it's the whole concept around the love blanket, the veil. It's the whole push on the love thing, and but it's a veil. They use it as a veil, where like you think you're doing something out of love, but it's not. It's pure evil, but you think you're doing it out of love.
There's a lot of lost people, man.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying. Like that's what ends up happening. So then, like all these people just don't see the bigger picture on what's happening, and they just get manipulated because like they're just in there, and then they're all of a sudden easily just flipped, boom. Everyone has a price. It's just a matter of like what their price is.
Yeah, who starts that? That's crazy. But yeah, we pieced together that whole freaking.
Yeah, and then we were talking about, so going back, it was about the whole...
what's his face? Scientology.
The Scientology.
Yeah, because you're telling me you got to sell books in Scientology. That's where this guy gets the money?
That's how he started Scientology, is because Ron Hubbard, he basically was selling his science fiction novels as religion. So what happens is people, as they climb up the different levels of the Scientology, they would have to buy the next book. Mm-hmm. And they'd have to get the next level and the next level and the next level, but you'd always constantly have to buy the next book. And then you would have to do what's called audits. So
they got this little machine that you go into like a room and they sit and they tell you if you're lying or not.
Yeah, do you know like a lie detector? Like an audit. So like they have what's called an engram. So an engram. So a lot of the stuff is kind of like it's kind of scientific kind of sense. Like, so the whole idea of an engram is basically saying that if you have an engram inside your system, you can have an engram from when you're a baby or whatever. It's all those subconscious memories that are embedded into your body that you don't know about. Mm-hmm. So they're called engrams. And what this is what he was calling them. And an only way to remove an engram is to have someone do an audit on you. So they would have to basically ask you questions until they finally found the engram, and then you would have to then release the engram and admit to it.
That seems almost, that seems kind of legit though, somewhat legit.
That's what I'm saying.
It seems like psychology, like
let's
figure out what screwed you up as a kid.
Yeah.
It may be in the cell, maybe that guy just needed an engram.
Yeah, well, to get an engram released because it was embedded in him.
Yeah, you just
so what they would do is they would put these electromagnetic machines, they would hold them, and what happened is that the needle would go back and forth.
And this is in Scientology. In this little like room that they're doing this thing.
Where they do the audits.
Hey, well, Catholics do confessions. It's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Is it not?
So they do this dial goes back and forth, and they keep trying to pick at the engram until the dial stops moving, until they find peace. And then they find that they're no longer pumping out that subconscious electricity through the thing.
How is that even scientific though? Like, where's the electricity coming from? What is it?
It's like a lie detector. It's like a lie detector test. So have you ever read the book Power versus Force?
Yeah.
So we have what's called kinetic energy, that kinetic lie detector tests that our bodies can basically tell us whether we're telling the truth or honest or lying, even whether we know it or not. Subconsciously, it can tell us whether we're telling the truth
by holding on to a machine
through our muscles. So our muscles will basically either go strong or weak, depending on whether something is true or false.
There's people that can dupe that, though, can they not?
Which one?
They can dupe?
This is for your own personal thing. Like you can, like your muscles will go strong or weak depending on what's. So there's like a finger lock test you can do. So you can ask yourself questions in whether something's true or false. Like either your fingers will go weak or they'll stay strong or the lock will stay.
So like if Pow Pow was like, I am a black man, he'd be like,
yeah. It wouldn't go through.
Atiano Chibe, it wouldn't go through. He'd be able to hold that thing.
Chibe would be like, nope, not happening. But that's the thing. So that's how that works. So if you look at if you ever want to read a book, Power versus Force, it explains a little bit about how that works, and then through that form of testing, they were able to find different levels of frequencies based on emotional frequencies. So like, shame being at the bottom, being rated at like 20, and then at the top of that would be enlightenment, which would be at 1,000.
And this is the thing, and they hold on to this little thing.
So this one they would do it, but basically with this electropods, because they would actually pick up those small levels of frequencies. Similar to like a lie detector. When they put you to a lie detector test, it checks the electrical pulses.
Okay, so then they'll do this audit.
But they'll film you during the audit. Yeah. So they film every audit.
Ooh, and then they use that against you.
That's how they get you.
Are we gonna get murdered?
Which one?
For talking about this?
No, because we're not in Scientology, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we're not bashing it. This is purely educational purposes only.
Yeah.
We're not releasing any secrets, are we?
We're not South Park.
Holy shit! Yeah, don't. South Park goes hard in the paint, man.
They went hard on the paint on
Tom Cruise.
On Tom Cruise, and he's just like, you just know everything.
Yeah, I know it's bad.
You just know what to do. You know everything.
Did he have that freak out on Oprah a couple of years back and shit?
Yeah, when he was in love with Katie Holmes.
Yeah. That was weird.
He jumped up and down on the couch.
I think Hollywood screwed with that guy's brain.
Well, he was basically he was given a wife and like all these weird things. Like if you follow his storyline, like they found a person and said, "Okay, you are his wife," and they said like you have to be his wife because like she's like this specific like she's an actress who has to like play his wife.
That's weird.
But in real life, they basically Scientologists said this is the woman that you're going to be with.
Yeah, that's actually ridiculous.
Yeah, there's some like weird.
But if you try leaving, they hold all those little audits against you.
All those audits and tapes they have against you, so you cannot leave the organization.
They're getting blackmailed to stay there.
Because you got to remember, you're paying them for every audit. You have to pay for the audits.
How much is the audit?
I don't know, whatever it is. It's like probably like any other session, might be $150. I don't know what they are, but you have to pay for the audits. So you got to go in and pay for the audits, and you got to get the audits done on a regular basis, and you have to have so many audits done before you can get to the next level. To get the next level of books to figure out what the next level is.
The audit thing seems kind of like good.
Yeah, so that's why people get addicted to them, because it's a form of
release.
It's a
yeah. Why you got to tape this shit though?
That's the thing. It's like a confession. It's like a moment of admission.
Yeah, it probably feels good to get rid of it and then watch the thing hit zero.
Like
yeah,
repenting.
you probably feel
when
good.
You repent, you're like, oh, I didn't know that, blah blah blah. That's why. So you feel good and you don't think about anything of it until you want to leave.
Until you want to leave,
and then they go like, you don't want to leave. You remember that time you were talking about, how you had these weird thoughts about,
sleeping with your buddy's girlfriend,
or your buddy's girlfriend, or like what you did to that dog.
You remember what you did, that weird shit you did to that dog.
You don't want us to release that, do you? Blah blah blah. Yeah. And then there's just like, oh man, I'm just like, now they're stuck.
Yeah, you remember when you were 16 and you broke into that car and then you stole that and then you freaking...
Yeah, and then they keep all the money within the organization and they can buy buildings. They put
Who runs the business side of this?
All of the top guys at the Scientology, they run it as a business.
That's a full-on business.
Yeah, because Ron Hubbard's not there anymore. But they can buy buildings.
Yeah, I know.
So they buy buildings because like...
No lease, no nothing, and it's... Zero taxes.
That tax-free.
That's that tax-free shit.
That's the tax-free stuff because they keep the money in the organization, right?
Yeah.
So as long as the money stays in the organization, it's fine. But what happens is you put the money into the organization, you guys got a building, and then he's leasing out all this stuff in the building and making money off of that lease. But they're still making money off of it, right? But it's staying within the organization.
And it's tax-free.
It's tax-free. So
these mother truckers are smart, making bank.
Making a beating.
Didn't these guys make that religion up, like the spaghetti monster, spaghetti heads? There's an actual religion out there that's like the spaghetti monster, I think.
I've never heard of this one.
There's just people who wear spaghetti strainers on their head.
Spaghetti strainers on their head? Like
Yeah. It's a giant troll, but it's like it's making fun of things like this.
Is it though? Is it making fun of it, or is it like a smart business move? Like
it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both, and it's kind of poking fun at a bunch of different things. Like I think in Canada now. If you're wearing a turban, you don't have to wear a helmet on your motorcycle.
I guess you can't wear a helmet if you got a turban on.
Yeah, but there's a big thing with it.
Basically what's happening is that you're basically saying that you can't ride a motorcycle because you're wearing a turban, which is like what? Like why would you? First of all, I don't even know why they even have these laws like for adults anyways. Like why is there a seatbelt law? Why like?
I don't know. We're all adults. If I want to rip around on my bike and not wear a helmet and crack my head, that's my problem.
Yeah, except someo's got to clean that shit up.
Yeah, but does that okay?
That becomes a problem.
Here's a pushback to that. Does that not create jobs for people? Does that stimulate economy for private business?
Do you want that job?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want that job. But I mean, let's think about this though. How many ambulances are going out? There's maintenance on ambulances.
It's so funny. I saw this comedian, this little kid. He was like a 12-year-old kid. He was just like, yo man. He was like, he was talking about the stuff that was fun that we used to do as when we were kids, because we can't do them anymore because they're illegal.
Yeah, none of them.
None of them. They couldn't ride in the back of a truck.
Dude, I was doing that all the time back in the day, man. I was in the back of the pig. Whenever anyone, like my uncle, anyone would show up at the spot, just get in the back of that bitch, man, and you're just riding down. If you were to see that today, there'd be like, I don't know how many phone calls of people. Oh my God.
It'd be out of control.
SWAT would show up and this guy would be in jail for life for like endangering his child or like
children.
Yeah, or like social services would show up.
You
also.
go like India and stuff like that where they have kids like riding on motorcycles, like just like they're just on the motorcycle.
They don't give two flying shits over there, man. Dude, in Asian shit, man, You'll see like 15
you were
people.
in Taiwan.
Yeah, you'll see like 15 people on one bike. Like, it's nuts. You're like, how's this bike even still up? And they're like these little 50cc things that are like little mosquitoes. Like, I used to rip around in those things and just crank them. Like, ding, 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 and they're probably like, oh, just another fucking white guy in here just ripping around in this thing. No laws. I was like, red light, fuck it. Like, it was so fun.
It's so fun.
It was the best. Yeah. And just like no lanes, no nothing. Everyone just drives.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was like, do what you want to do. Just go. Yeah. Yes. I didn't see one accident when I was there.
Because you have to be more aware. The problem is there's so many laws and rules now that people go on autopilot because they just assume everyone else is following the rules.
Yeah, they full on go autopilot. And this is crazy. This is why, there's the bad rap of Asians being bad drivers. They're not bad drivers. They're freaking amazing drivers. They just come over here and we have so much like rigid structure with shit. It's like, okay, what do you mean I can't just like go into the lane? I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this. Over there, it's insane. Like, you're constantly ducking, diving, dodging, weaving. Like, it's like getting to and from work is like, you could die. You could die here in North America, but there it's like, no one, like traffic circles there? Come on. It's like, it's an art form.
I've seen some videos where the traffic circle and there's people crossing the street in the traffic circle and nobody blinks an eye. And
dude, I was doing that. They don't care. They just drive right past you.
Just walks past and the guy just walks across the circle and everyone just drives.
Everyone just goes around you. Yeah, like they know what to do. Yeah, like they're extremely like aware and talented and like, they know what's going on. But then they show up here and it's like, wait,
all these rules,
all these weird, stupid rules.
They don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, they don't understand what's going on. It's like, what do you mean I can't just drive here, right? Yeah, over there it's like a free-for-all of all free-for-alls, which is like pretty fun actually. I'm not gonna lie, I thoroughly enjoyed driving around in Asia.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Yeah, I need to go down there.
It's a wild.
Actually, I liked Europe. I want to go check out Europe again.
We got to hit it up, man. ThoughtXchange.
Yeah, we're thinking about, we need to go hit the pyramids.
ThoughtXchange travel, yeah.
We definitely need to see the pyramids. I want to see Göbekli Tepe.
You'll create it, I'll just show up.
I'll create it?
Yeah.
Just go to Göbekli Tepe?
Yeah, I don't know. Göbekli Tepe, yeah.
Göbekli Tepe, it's where the Tower of Babel is buried.
Buried?
Buried. It's buried. Like, it's like just the top of the tower is out, and they just found it, and they're just like, oh, and so they're like,
oh, wow.
Slowly digging it down.
Can you dig down into it?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's in Turkey. And then, like,
that's pretty sick.
Over there, too, they also have the Ark of Noah. Is this the side of the mountain?
Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark.
Noah's Ark, yeah. It's on the top of, what mountain was that? Not Mount Arafat, is it?
I don't know.
I forget the name of the top of that mountain.
Yeah, but it's on top of a mountain. You look at it, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like...
Yeah, there's boat ruins up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And then what other place you got to go check out, too? I want to go check out Babylon. Old Babylon. What are they, like the Babylonian ruins.
Yeah.
And the other one would be the pyramids. And then we got to go check out Jerusalem.
I'm in on that trip.
Right? Just like a full, like, hit that whole area up.
Hit it up. Bring some cameras.
It's the cameras.
Interview some people.
It's scary, though, man. We need someone that speaks Hebrew or, like,
I got that. I got the connect.
You got the connect?
I got the connect, yeah.
I think I want to learn. I got to learn Hebrew then.
Dude, what do you think I wrote on our wall the other day?
Yeah, you wrote some massive Hebrew on the wall.
Yeah, I know.
Like underneath
had a Jewish girlfriend at one point.
Underneath the Bandersnatch.
Yeah, I know.
Point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little wild.
I've been known to write a little Hebrew from every now and then. Self-taught.
You're a little Yiddish.
I'm a little Yiddish, yeah. When I grow my beard out, eh?
You know, it was so funny. Someone called me Yiddish one time. I didn't even realize it. I was like, yeah, actually, I'm kind of dressed a little Yiddish.
You do look it sometimes.
So I had my full beard on, and I was wearing my just my normal suit and whatever. But I had my scarf on, but my scarf was like that checkered scarf.
Yeah.
And then I had my fedora on, and I was just like straight out Yiddish. I was just like, and someone called me out and goes, "What's up with you? You're looking a little Yiddish today." And I go, "What?" And I looked and go, "Holy smokes, I am! I did not plan that."
Who says that to somebody? That's hilarious. Holy shit, eh?
Called me Yiddish.
Oh man, what are you thinking, Stevie Van D? You're a little bit Yiddish, eh?
Yeah. I guess so.
The the whole story here is that Fantastic Planet
Yeah,
is the
back
most
to the
fucked up
Fantastic
movie you've ever seen.
I'm gonna
in your
watch
life.
it. I'm gonna watch it because I was watching a bit of it and it was a little weird.
I personally want to watch it with you. I want to see your
It was
reactions
like a
to this
weird
movie.
sexual cartoon alien. Like they were all naked and walking around. I'm just like, this is, who comes up with this?
I don't know. I'm
stuff?
fascinated by those people.
I just wanted an English version of it because I don't speak French.
Yeah.
So if you found the English subtitle version, I'm down to watch it.
All right. I think on that note, we let her go then.
Let it
man.
go. That's what we're gonna do today.
That's the
We're gonna-
thought exchange today.
Yeah. So we'll check out Fantastic Planet. Take a look at that and
The Cell too, actually. And you know what? Yeah, The Cell's I think I actually really liked it. I don't know about you.
Well, it was good. There's a couple of films that were interesting. So The Cell was interesting. If you have time, watch OA. OA is a really cool.
OA was cool too. Yeah.
OA is a really cool concept as well. That's
on Netflix though.
That's on Netflix. That's the
OA, like
yeah,
O.
the original Angel is what it's based on. So
Yeah.
OA, and then you have the other one, which is the Bandersnatch, which was a little wild too.
Bandersnatch was pretty cool.
So those are all kind of in the same similar concept in terms of like multi-dimensional mind
Fuck type movies.
fuck techno movies. Maybe Fantastic Planet. It's gonna be
Fantastic Planet's up there
it's gonna
too.
be
Yeah.
in that same shit. And then also we talked about too the Anunnaki, so you can look up at Inky and see what he did and the whole story about the Anunnaki from the Sumerian texts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I guess that's Thought Exchange episode here.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm Steve Van Diest, and this is my boy
Cameron Barke, what's up?
Cameron Barke.
Everyone on the live, thanks for joining in. We're cutting out.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Hey, peace.